Porn was like the ultimate friend. And I would look at Cynthia and I'd be like, that's so much work. There's so much emotion that I have to wade through to be able to get my needs met. Over here, a couple clicks of a button, and I have all of my needs met.
Dwayne and Cynthia Shaver married young and spent their first few years fighting.
I came from a very legalistic home with a lot of rules. I pretty much hated everything. I hated my life. I just really didn't want anybody to tell me what to do. I had such a desire to be heard, and she had such a desire to be heard. And the only way I knew how to be heard was to get louder and to scream more. And the words that were said and how hard they cut, I had never experienced anything like that before.
It got violent. You know, I would hit him, he would hit me. I usually initiated it. You know, we'd push each other. Really? We were both so mad.
Dwayne figured things would never change. But then Cynthia got pregnant.
I knew that I had to figure out how to grow up really quick.
Dwayne started a career in sales to provide for his family. But no matter how much money he brought home, the couple grew further apart.
I felt like sometimes I was living with the enemy. And I felt just as alone sometimes when he was in the same room as me that I did when I was actually alone.
Cynthia thought she had the solution when she introduced pornography into the marriage.
I figured that was, you know, it's going to make him want me.
Cynthia soon regretted the suggestion, but Dwayne was hooked.
How was your addiction ruining your relationship?
I found myself not interested in live sex with my wife. I found myself in a fantasy land. And that was all that I could think about. That was all that I wanted.
I began to wonder why he couldn't stop. Like, what do these women have to offer that I don't? So that began to create a lot of insecurity for me, a lot of obsessing on what he liked. And then I really realized I didn't know this guy anymore.
Dwayne went to sex shops while he was on the road and surfed the web every chance he got.
You were doing a lot of sneaky things. What was in it for you? I mean, what were you really getting from all of this?
Well, I was absolutely in control of my own sexuality. It was there when I was sad. It was there when I was happy. It was there when I'd close a big deal. It was there when I'd fail at closing the big deal. It was always there. I couldn't say that for any other relationship in my life.
Were you ever worried about Cynthia finding out what you were doing?
When she would come at me and ask me, hey, why is this in your Google search engine? I would lie. I was like a kid getting in trouble. I mean, the excuses were so stupid. Or, oh, it's probably our son. I'll pull him aside, I'll talk to him, I'll make sure that doesn't happen anymore.
Secretly, he'd plan when he could feed his pornography addiction next. Meanwhile, Cynthia started going to church and praying that Dwayne would turn to God too.
I viewed God as a mean, kind of maniacal chess player that just toyed around with people's lives and emotions.
Then Dwayne was diagnosed with cancer.
You know, I was smacked in the face with my own mortality. And then I'm faced with this thought of, oh, this is gonna stink if I don't make it through this. When my kids get older and they look back at my life, I wasn't present at school. It just didn't matter. I mean, I made sure that they had money for their birthday parties, but they didn't have their dad. I was very ashamed of myself. That was the beginning of going, I really need to figure out who God is.
Day after day, he prayed for help.
One of the things that I asked was for Jesus to just forgive me. Even though I couldn't understand how I could be forgiven for some of the things that I had done, I just prayed over and over, God, I'm so sorry. I have fallen so far. I have gone so deep. Just forgive me. And I felt that shift, I felt that change where it was just this It was just a weight lifted off of me. When I met Jesus, I didn't have that hatred. I didn't have that anger. I didn't have those voids. I wasn't looking for anything. I had found what I was looking for.
Dwayne survived his bout with cancer and pledged to put his habit behind him.
I believe that Jesus delivered me from the desire to look at pornography. However, I had habits that I didn't know how to control. I had created this process that I did.
Overcoming that took time and transparency.
I opened up all of my passwords to Facebook, to my email. Everything was no longer private. I found a couple of guys, became accountable to them.
And what was it that really finally got you, that made you give it up completely? You started seeing women in a new way, or?
With the pornography, I didn't see those women as objects. I actually saw them as women. I didn't see them as pieces of anatomy that were appealing. I saw them as human beings for the first time. And my heart broke for them because I started thinking to myself, this could be somebody's mom, it could be my sister, it could be my daughter if I had a daughter.
Over time, he proved to his wife that he had truly changed.
There was no excuses. There was no rationalization.
He started to cry, actually, and he said, Cynthia, I love you so much, and I just can't believe I caused you this kind of pain, and I was a different man, and I was wrong, and you know, you're really the woman that I love.
Today, Dwayne has been porn-free for over 7 years.
So there really is hope for men to get out of pornography. There's really hope for marriages.
If you're willing to open up to God, if you're willing to surrender those things that you're holding closely to you, if you're willing to make the changes, God's waiting for you. God's there to make those changes in your life, but you have to take a step towards Him.